Welcome back, everybody, to 49ers First Takes. I am joined by co-host slash special guest. I don't know at this point what we actually are to each other, but we're here to talk some 49er training camp, some of the biggest news stories that are going on so far in training camp. Sterling was already on, but he said he would come jump on with me too. So you're going to get him back to back on his own stream and on this one. So hope everybody's ready for that. And let's get into it.
This may be the only time the double dip is acceptable. Not with snacks, not with dip, not with food, but on YouTube channels about the San Francisco 49ers. You can double dip all you want, and we're doing that tonight. So, Aaron, I'm pretty happy to be here. I think you can call me somewhat of a comrade, maybe. I don't know if a co-host is enough, but we're certainly in that conversation to be one, maybe relatively soon. But happy to be here talking Niner training camp with you, and really, really excited of what we've seen so far through the first 3 days of non-padded practice.
Yeah, things are going to change. That's why, like, with every puff piece, I guess you can call it, every puff piece that they're writing about the 49ers, by, and I get excited just like you do, like, hearing something about, Purdy looking great, or Pinnock looking like he could be a hit at safety, or this, that, or the other. Pads haven't went on yet, so things are going to change really soon. We were going to be joined by Dre Area Sports, but he couldn't make it. So we're doing this for Dre here.
He's not dead. He's with his wife.
That's my boy. He's my boy, though, so I'm just giving him props.
Man, it's like an old school Blue. You're my
boy. Oh man. Yeah. So I labeled the live stream this, so we might as well get into the first story, and that was the personal absence and excused absence for Brock Purdy. There are some rumors going around of what it could be, but he was excused for a personal reason today in training camp. Not something to be overly worried about. At least that's what they're making it sound like. There are rumors going around that it could have something to do with the birth of a child or something to do with childbirth, but nothing's really been confirmed on that front. Really, because it's none of our business. But hopefully we find out soon, because, Brock's our guy and we want Brock in camp. At least from some of the reports yesterday, he looked electric in camp. Even, they talked about the first day where, they said, not one ball hit the ground or something like that. And he had 2 interceptions, but again, that's training camp. The days of me caring about training camp interceptions are long over. I mean, I don't care. So, any thoughts on the Brock Purdy situation?
Not too much in regards to him missing practice today. Was excused. I'm not sure how much time the team was aware of before he needed to go. Again, the speculation is it may be related to the birth of a child, or him and his wife, I think her name is Jenna, being pregnant or something of those sorts. Now, we have no idea if that's the case, but anyways, if it is and she's healthy and awesome and all that stuff is great, having children is a blessing in life. So if that's the case, awesome for them. But Brock, through the first 2 days of his training camp so far, has looked not perfect. Again, you mentioned 2 interceptions on the first day, and but again, that's the first day of camp. It's like coming into the first day of school again, and you have a pop quiz and you say, what the hell? I spent 3 months just not doing anything. You're going to test my brain with the quiz today. And Brock, although bounced back in a big way yesterday, was darn near perfect. He hit a couple big passes to George Kittle and looked really good. But I guess from what I've heard, Brock is going to be back by Sunday, which is a pretty good sign. Again, it's training camp. If Brock misses a week, whatever, he's not going to play in the first preseason game anyways, probably. So it really is kind of a non-story, unless something's wrong, which no indications of that being the case are out there. So I would not look too much into Brock missing practice, and I'd be pretty happy with how he performed yesterday, because he was really good at training camp on day 2.
I'm actually interested the fact that the backups got some reps, and I don't know if it was you that commented about the importance and how happy. Somebody commented about how oh my God, his name is escaping me right now. Mac Jones. And how big of an acquisition he was. Some people are even saying he's one of the better backups in the league, depending on, who who makes the list. What's your overall thinking on Mac Jones being the backup? I mean, he ain't Brandon Allen. He's been a starter in the National Football League. Say what you want about him, but he knows how to run an NFL offense.
Yeah.
He was semi-successful in his first year, you could say. So,
Pro Bowler, playoffs, won 10 games.
He actually is, and you're not expecting certain things from him. I think it's a great acquisition, having him as a backup quarterback.
Yeah, I think, when you hear the name Mac Jones, you start to assert negative feelings in your brain and think bad thoughts of, you talk about 2021 and the draft process and how Mac really isn't a dynamic quarterback in his own right.
No.
He's somewhat mobile, I think more mobile than fans, or at least some fans want to give him credit for. And Kyle has been trying to acquire him for 2 years. Tried to trade for him last year, didn't get a deal done, and then obviously signed him during the offseason. So he's been trying to reconnect with Mac after the reports claiming that he was his pick at number 3 overall, but things changed late in the process and they went with Trey Lance instead. But I think it's a good pick. San Francisco has been able to kind of milk the backup quarterback market. They got Sam Darnold. They had Trey Lance for a hot second there and traded them away. They had Joshua Dobbs. They had Brandon Allen, all that stuff. But the way Mac Jones plays and the way he played yesterday, especially, there's a reason why Kyle Shanahan wanted him to be on the roster in 2021 and wanted him to be the quarterback, albeit changed his mind last second. Mac can play at the NFL level. Mac can also succeed in an offense like this. Now, when you think of Mac Jones, your brain automatically goes to quarterbacks like Kirk Cousins and guys that have been successful in Kyle Shanahan's scheme, or even those of Jimmy Garoppolo and whatnot. But I really do like the acquisition of Mac Jones and think that if Brock goes down, which he has in previous years, that you're not going to see as steep of a fall off as you did with Joshua Dobbs or Brandon Allen last season.
Yeah, Joshua Dobbs was an interesting case last year and didn't have the best feeling leaving the 49ers. I don't know. I still don't understand what the situation was with Josh Dobbs last year, but they just wanted to he stayed away from his ass when they wanted to bring in a backup quarterback. So who knows what that was all about? Maybe he didn't think that he was a third string quarterback and he had some reservations. Hey, if you don't want to be here, like Devondre Campbell, get the fuck out. That's all I got to say. And to the man in the comments, Mr. Tim Grable, he says, this is boring. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry we can't entertain you. You don't have to stay. So thank you very much.
I'll start taking my shirt off. Tim, is that better for you?
Yeah.
Let's show some skin.
I got some cleavage for you. I'm a pretty hefty guy right now.
Jeez.
Anywho, I wanted to touch on something that was already probably talked about since training camp started, and that's the presence of Jauan Jennings being at training camp. I think it counts for a lot. No real talk from anybody whether they're actually working on a deal with him. He's operating in good faith, and I think that means a lot to John and Kyle. Just personal question to you. Do you think they get a deal done for him before the season starts? Is that a priority? Or are they I don't know how long I would keep practicing regardless if they need me or not, or if I want to be there or not, if there isn't at least some discussions going on. So I would have to think that they have. I mean, they've really been hush-hush about it. He really hasn't. John didn't speak about it in the press conference. He stayed pretty hush-hush. I think that's why the players love John, is he doesn't discuss certain things just for media talk. So what are your thoughts on it?
I think a deal gets done. I don't know when, but I do think that when you're operating in good faith and you have a player that maybe doesn't have the leverage to hold out, but certainly has some leverage to not practice for a certain portion of training camp and really kind of hinder where the receiver room is. Again, Pearsall's out, Ayuk's out, Cowing's currently injured and all that stuff. So I think it's good to have Jauan there. I think Jauan realizes how important these first couple of days are and getting guys settled into the offense and the chemistry and being an example for the young players in the room, being a leader. I think Jauan certainly has although he probably won't get it, has earned a captain's patch. The way he leads the team and the way he led the room last year in the absence of Ayuk and how poorly Debo played last season. But I do think a deal gets done. I don't know by how much, but I do think there was a report, I think by Matt Maiocco. I don't want to, attach his name to that if it's wrong, but I think Matt said like they've been talking about a deal. So it was also reported that, Jauan had been made San Francisco aware that he wanted a new contract. So it's nothing new. I think, the urgency of this, I think they've known about it for probably about 3 or 4 weeks or so. So they know what Jauan wants and they're just trying to find the right number. I think it really comes down to, 3 years or 2 years. And do you want 12 mil per year or do you want 15? That's kind of how do we find the nice kind of just right point of a deal like that? The Goldilocks contract, if you will. But I have almost no concerns of a deal getting done by any means between San Francisco and Jauan before week 1.
It's funny. I was talking to my brother, who's a big Dolphins fan, and we were like, "What would you do?" I was like, "Would you trade him?" And then he's like, "No, you kidding me?" He's like, "I would love to have someone like Jauan on the Dolphins." Like, no, you got to figure something out. Like, I think Raj from RSF Niners was kind of like, "Hey, you trade him, and get something." And then he, one of his streams the other day, kind of backpedaled off of that, and he was like, "No, you got to make the move. You got to try to figure out something with him and get a contract." Like, the more you think about just how important he's been, and like from all the reports, I'm not at training camp. I'm on the East Coast. All I hear is about how Jauan and Brock look like a well-oiled machine, kind of like how Kittle and Brock look like a well-oiled machine. Just some players, they help kickstart the offense, and they're starters for a reason. The whole saying of you play when your numbers call, then the next man up. That doesn't really, it applies, but it really doesn't apply. Guys are starters for a reason, and it's good to have him here. So I'm glad that he's doing the amicable thing and showing up, being in camp, being a good soldier. Because I think in good faith, things always turn out for the better when it comes to contracts. He wants to be here. It's obvious, and we want him here. He's a necessity. He's a part of the offense. And with Brandon Ayuk going to miss time till maybe November, some people are saying, and then you have the whole suspension of, his name is escaping me right now, Robinson. You need to have at least one starter in the room, and then of course we have the situation. Although he's been on the side field and they say he looks good, the whole situation with Ricky Pearsall. So vital, absolutely vital. Eric Gomes says Jauan agent knew how to use training camp leverage. Yeah, it's the perfect time. With the situation the 49ers are in right now, they need him. And that's negotiations, right? That's what they are. You come in with your number, they come with your number, and then you figure out something in the middle. That's negotiating. So hopefully they get something done soon, hopefully before the beginning of the season or the end of training camp. I'll be happy when it happens because he's one of my favorite players. So
yeah, Jauan is awesome. And I think, one factor we kind of tiptoed around thus far is just Jauan being there and how it affects the actual negotiation process. Like, we've seen Nick Bosa hold out and it linger up until the Thursday prior to week 1. We saw Trent do it last year. It didn't go well. And things didn't get done till late in training camp and preseason. And, while you can certainly, applaud those deals getting done, you'd rather your guy be in the building, at least be in meetings. For as bad as Ayuk handled things last offseason and during preseason and whatnot, at least he was there. Now, maybe there were some negative effects of that, but, we also saw Debo Samuel hold out and not come to camp and how it affected him. So I think Jauan has realized that holding out, you can go the Debo Samuel route and come into camp overweight and not have a great season. And not really, prove your worth to the NFL and the rest of the team. You can go the Ayuk route and not practice at all while holding in. And although the injury wasn't Ayuk's fault, just not look the same to begin the year. So I think Jauan realized, I know what not to do, but I know what I want to do, and that's get paid and play for the San Francisco 49ers. So being there, I'm sure his agent and John Lynch and company are talking probably nonstop, sending deals back and forth, trying to figure things out. But I think Jauan being there, yes, is great for the team and in Brock Purdy and the receiver room and all that stuff. But when it comes to getting a deal done, that sense of urgency does become more apparent and ramps up now that Jauan's there every single day, practicing well, and looking like Jauan of the last couple of years, an ascending wide receiver in the NFL.
As happy as I am that they could get something done and that he decided to come to camp, I really hope soon that we see something from Ricky Pearsall. It would be an amazing thing because you talked about this of like, Ricky plays well this year. It's a good chance the Niners could trade Brandon Ayuk next offseason, and it's a contract I don't think they were ever comfortable with acquiescing to. I personally am not a big fan of his attitude. I'm not a Brandon Ayuk guy. Jauan Jennings' energy is completely alpha and completely like leader, outspoken, emotional guy, and Ayuk comes off as aloof, impatient, moody, disengaged. I don't like. I want my alpha receiver, my Jerry Rice, my Chris Carter, my Randy Moss. I want alpha receivers. Michael Irvin. I want that guy. You know what I mean? Like I want the guy that is like complaining in the huddle every play that he wants the ball, and when he gets the ball, he does something with it. And I don't know. I've just never been a big Brandon Ayuk guy. I mean, he was pretty good in 2023, but the offense as whole was really good in 2023. So, will the Niners offense look even more dynamic if, say, Pearsall has a good first half of the season and Jennings is, stays healthy and he can come back? Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love to have them all, but it's so important to see what he does once he gets on the field, and hopefully he can stay healthy, which has been one of his biggest bugaboos.
He was Pearsall is supposed to come back, I believe, on Sunday, so you could get Brock and Pearsall playing together on Sunday, Sunday morning, Sunday midday, whenever practices, doesn't matter. But Pearsall has been playing catch. He's been running routes and sprinting and stuff. So it looks like the injury, although it's held him out for the first 3 days, of training camp, it seems like that's going to be kind of put in the past, and they may work him in slowly just to preserve him because, let's be honest here, without Brandon Ayuk, and this goes for Jauan Jennings too, but Demarcus Robinson may be being suspended for 1 to 3 games. Who knows? This team needs Pearsall, because if you don't have Pearsall and he's hurt, you don't have BA, you don't have Robinson, this team doesn't have a wide receiver able to separate against man coverage. They just don't. And so it really does hinder what the offense can do. And I get it. The plan was hopefully last year when you drafted Pearsall to have Ayuk and Pearsall and Jennings and all those guys be healthy at the same time. But unfortunately, it's not the case. And it hasn't really been the case the last 2 seasons. And we really have never seen Pearsall and Ayuk play together. Pearsall came back, Ayuk immediately got hurt. So we haven't seen those guys on the field at the same time. And that sucks. And we may never get to if they do trade Ayuk or Pearsall can't stay healthy. So in an odd, weird way, whether it be Jauan or Ayuk and Robinson, Pearsall really is a key to how far San Francisco can go this year. And I have high hopes for him. I thought he ended the year extremely well against the Lions and the Dolphins and whatnot, and even the Dallas Cowboys. But they really, really need Pearsall to be healthy, because he can do things other guys simply can't unless Ayuk comes back. So Sunday, if he's healthy and active, like, we are going to be intently watching Pearsall on the practice field.
There is an evolution that needs to happen with this offense in the next couple of years, because Kittle's getting older, McCaffrey's getting older, and they have a lot of miles on them. And as much as we love Kittle and we probably think he could play till he's 35, 38, 40, his body's going to break down on him. We got to see an evolution. We got to see guys become better than just some sort of side piece or some, middle of the road role player. I would love to see someone like Ricky Pearsall become, what Brandon Ayuk is right now, a fringe number 1, and then you have Jauan Jennings, and then, Kittle, and, every time somebody can like build on that roster, it just knocks the depth chart down to where it needs to be. I just hate when it comes to a point where like the same song and dance happen and the same guys have to be counted on all the time. And I feel like, I don't know, that like shortens careers Same thing like we talked about with the running back room and how important, at least we think it is. It might not be an importance to Kyle or to Bobby Turner, but like getting other running backs touches in games. If you're gonna throw, 10 passes to Christian McCaffrey, do we really need to run him 25 times in a game? Or can we run
Right.
him 17 times, 13 times, and intermix? It's almost like, to me, it's like lazy. It's like a movie where they just add a bunch of action because they have lazy script writing and they can't figure out an idea, so they just put a bunch of action in. To me, it's like lazy team building or lazy the way you call plays or just like lazy offense building where like instead of trying to figure out how to get other guys involved or drafting or bringing in guys that can like open the offense to another level, it's the same song and dance with the same players, and it just becomes it's great in the short term when we're watching games and we're getting wins and stuff. But I'm the type of guy, I'm always thinking like next season or like what's going to happen. Like I'm always thinking down the road. Um, it's not like Jerry Rice back in the day who played for 20 years. It doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't know. To me, it's integral that certain guys step up and become part of this offense. Ricky Pearsall being number one.
I would liken it to a movie that relies on nostalgia instead of building out the new characters or
Star Wars.
sure, Star Wars, Men in Black. It doesn't, whatever nostalgic franchise, even Marvel at times can be that way, although it's been pretty bad recently. Although I haven't seen Fantastic Four just yet. Like it just feels like at times the Niners offense feels like a stale franchise. And you hate saying that because they've been so successful, but they have these lull years, they have these lull seasons, if you will,
Yeah.
where like Friends was really good, right? They had a core of people that were just tremendous actors and they got along and they had chemistry, and it was really good for about 6 seasons. And then season 7 was good, but it wasn't great. And season 8 wasn't that great. And season 9 wasn't that great. Like towards the end, it lingered and it got worse. But you need to have new cast members, new dynamics come in and change things up. So, and that's why the draft is there, free agency. And it does, and I will say this, it does feel like that a lot of that refreshing that you want, new dynamic that you want is coming on defense first, more than offense. And you bring Saleh back, you have Brant Boyer, you draft like 8 rookies and you sign a bunch of guys in free agency that are cheaper and maybe on 1-year contracts, but can certainly give you something. Whereas the offense, it's Kyle, he sticks to his guns, he knows what he likes and doesn't want to change. A lot of what you're asking for is coming on one side of the football. And the other side being the offense, it may look very similar to how it did a couple of years ago, which could be awesome and great and one of the best in football. But we're probably going to see a mixture of last year and 2022's offense compared to 2023, which was, again, tremendous.
I just think it's great if you have other guys that can touch the ball.
Yeah.
Like it just makes everything easier. Like I like I said, I love Christian McCaffrey and Kittle doing a bunch of work and stuff, but like, why do the yeoman's work in September and in October? Like, I want to see them doing the yeoman's work in like late November, December, and January. As we're going into playoff time. Like,
would it be better to phrase what you're getting at is you like Jauan, you love Brock, you hope to like Pearsall, you like Brandon Ayuk, maybe not as much as others do because you're not a big fan of his, and you love Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. Your complaint isn't the fact that those guys are touching the football. Your complaint is that it's only Kittle, it's only Jauan, it's only Ayuk. It's not Grendo getting the reps that he needs. Jordan James hopefully gets reps. It's more about having a kind of full frontal attack from every single aspect, where I know last year the injuries they had, it certainly hindered them. And, some guys like Ronnie Bell shouldn't have been touching the football, but this year with everybody finally healthy outside of Ayuk, this feels like a time where Kyle should be more reliant on younger players to help lift up the veteran guys around and make the offense better as a whole as things progress.
Yeah. It's cool. It would be cool to see a game where you think the ball's going to start going to Kittle, or you think McCaffrey's going to get a crap load of carries, and all of a sudden Grendo is the hero, or Ricky Pearsall has 10 catches for 180 yards and 2 touchdowns. You're like, whoa, so we can go to him too? Now it just
Right.
makes everything like it softens the beating everybody else is taking. That's what I want to see. Defense, we didn't have a choice. We have so much that burning payroll this year that we didn't have a choice. We had to make the moves.
Do you think that with all of the departures they had, Deebo Samuel now gone, the injury history to Christian McCaffrey last offseason, although he looks pretty healthy right now, do you think that Kyle will feel a necessity this year to rely on, say it's a young receiver, Jordan Wilkins, who most years young guys, receivers, rookies don't play often unless they're first or second round picks like Pearsall, Ayuk, or Deebo. Do you think he will actually play Wilkins and not rely on him, but be unafraid to utilize him more often than not? Or is it going to be same old Kyle this year?
If they win a bunch of games coming out the gate, I think Kyle gets more expansive.
Okay.
If they are struggling, it's going to be the same old song and
Titans things back up. Yep. Okay.
But goes to the same guys, runs CMC 30 times a game, 15. I'm not literally, but I'm just saying, like, say they start out 7-0, 8-0. Yeah, we're going to try something this game. Oh, wow. This Watkins and this Nayer kid or neighbor, whatever his last name is.
Nayer.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. We have other options. We can throw to other people. We can get other people involved. Then a guy doesn't necessarily have to take a game off, but like give him a game off by instead of going to Kittle 10 times, go to him 4 times. Let him just block all game.
But in that example, you believe that, let's say their first 5 games, right? 3 against the NFC West, some clunkers against the Saints in Jacksonville. You think getting young players involved, Watkins, Guerendo, Jordan James, and other guys in those positional rooms, getting them involved is maybe not solely reliant on a hot start, but they will get more involved if his team comes out and plays well early. It can maybe find themselves some sort of a lead in the NFC West to begin the year.
Yeah. I just feel like if there's pressure and the Niners are scuffling mid-season and they're kind of like a fringe team, that Kyle's going to go like the comment said, where is that here? Oopsie. Peter Parker said Kyle's going to Kyle. It's the same thing with when we talked about, even 2 years ago, like Christian McCaffrey just getting run into the ground in 2023. And like, we all talked about it, and like people bring stuff up to Kyle and he's of the mindset, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And Bobby Turner's really of the same mindset too. And it's just like, It's great when you're winning, but when you're losing and guys are hurt and nobody's like last year was the absolute worst case scenario for the 49ers. I mean, Deebo was done. He was fat. He had a bad attitude. He was punching people. Ayuk got hurt, and then it was just like, man, anything that could go wrong. And then CMC, everybody said he was great, and then this little thing that happened in OTAs or whatever when this stuff started ended up being essentially what shut him down for the season, because when he came back, he ended up injuring his knee. So it was just like overuse of the same guys. It's great, but like I want to see something evolve. I want to see the offense become. I would love to be that dangerous. We could be a team that scores 500 points in the season, like the Rams. Were like, we just have weapons coming out of our ass. But I don't know. I get scared when the things get tight and things get stressful that Kyle's going to, he's going to return to his, pound the same 3 guys with the rock all game and just not even try to, open anything else up.
I agree with you that I would like to see a more inclusive offense that involves more players, younger guys, because I think those younger guys, albeit may not be, well-rounded just yet, can give you a skill set that you don't have. Jordan Wilkins being one of those players who's a deep threat. The team doesn't have one of those right now. That said, knowing how new the defense is in regards to potentially 6 new starters on defense, maybe 8 if things go awry, I don't know if they're going to have that luxury. I think they're going to play in a lot of tight games, albeit, again, one of the easiest schedules in football. It's easy for a team that in previous years, in 2023 and 22, was so loaded with talent everywhere.
Yeah.
Whereas this is a although still a good team that has talent, not as loaded, a lot more unproven. I don't think we're going to get to see that Kyle Shanahan unless they win games, but I think a lot of the games they're going to play in are going to be tight, and you're going to see Kyle go to CMC and Kittle. And I guess he's going to have to, pass to Pearsall and whatnot, but and Jauan Jennings and company. But it does feel like that even if they get that hot start, say they are 5-0, and that's awesome. We're all like, oh, we're back, baby. But the next 12 or so games, it'll be, hey, 24-20. Hey, it'll be 23-27. It'll be 30-33. It'll be these really tight, close games where we all say, no, give it to old reliable again, because we can't trust anybody else, or at least Kyle doesn't trust anybody else.
Yeah, Kyle's not a big fan of rookies. Like, we all know that. Like, if a guy's a rookie, even if he's done things in college or whatever, Kyle's not going to, you don't trust him. Kyle's, I forgot who it was. It was a corner that we signed or we drafted, and we ended up bringing in a free agent, and I don't even know if he didn't end up playing last year. I forget who the nickel corner was last year that we had. And we had drafted somebody to take that guy's place, and it never happened. So Kyle just has this inability to sometimes see past the end of his own nose when it comes to like letting young guys play. Just won't do it. Defense, we don't have a choice this year, and I think that's, like you said, there's going to be some games where the defense is going to either give up a bunch of points or have some mistakes in the secondary, or guys missing tackles, or people being in the wrong gap, whatever. And you're right. It's going to have to go to the same old, run of the mill players that we have, which is great. I love seeing Kittle score and CMC score. It makes me happy. But if this was any other year, you're right. Right.
They can still win a lot of games with those players, but I think your and mine concern, and I'm sure others as well, is more about the longevity of the roster through an 18-week season. You have all these young guys that are unproven. You incorporate them early, like Andy Reid would do it, albeit Nick Sirianni isn't the OC in Philadelphia. They would do it. It just seems like other teams around the league are unafraid to incorporate younger players if it makes them better. Whereas the Niners, for as great as they have been, do seem very reluctant to almost want to justify their draft picks at times, which doesn't make sense. You want to say, I want to prove why you're good. I want to prove why you were a 4th or 5th or 3rd round pick. But Kyle, I don't know. He just doesn't seem like that kind of guy.
Speaking of the defense, one player that has stood out in camp, at least not in pads, we're still in shorts and t-shirts, is Jason Pinnock, the safety.
Yeah.
A lot of high praise. Him and Jair Brown are kind of holding it down with Malik Mustafa being out. And I just wanted to get your take on the situation, because it's like most of us fans during the offseason, we saw the Pinnock, the acquisition or whatever, including myself, but everybody's been kind of clamoring to bring in a bigger name. I don't know if it's Justin Simmons. Might be the safety. Everybody keeps bringing his name up. But I don't know if it was you I talked to or other people who were like, no, the Niners are pretty high on Pinnock. Like, they're within the building, there seems to be a difference of his value as compared to the fans or people who are just looking at the roster from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, I think Pinnock kind of suffers from playing on the East Coast last year with the Giants. Niner fans were not watching Giants games, and to my own fault, I wasn't either, but I can't blame anybody because the Giants weren't very good. But I really think that San Francisco dictates, how much they like players or plan to play players based on money and if guaranteed money. That's why it was so shocking when they cut Nate Sudfeld for people that weren't there in training camp. And even that, like, Brock Purdy didn't get many reps in training camp, and Sudfeld had guaranteed money. Then they cut Sudfeld, and we all said, that's interesting. And so it's rare that guys that get guaranteed money don't play or aren't going to be on the roster. Brock Purdy being the ultimate outlier in all of the situations possible. Whereas Pinnock was brought in, given guaranteed money, not the best coverage player. Again, the pads will dictate, where he is at in regards to his coverage skills in this defense. But he from OTAs, minicamp, and training camp now, he is always, and I mean always, around the football. Whether it's interceptions, diving interceptions, would-be sacks, he's a guy who I think is probably going to be an in-the-box safety for them at times, although he'll shift around. That said, Robert Saleh talked about yesterday in his post-practice press conference that both safety jobs are up for grabs. Now, I'm not sure if that would be the case if Mustafa was healthy. And I've seen plenty of people online saying the future of that position is Marquis Siegel, a draft pick this year, and then Mustafa once he comes back. But I really think that Pinnock has a really good opportunity to take Jair Brown's job once Mustafa comes back. And I think even if he doesn't take Jair Brown's job, and if he isn't starting when Mustafa returns, I think Pinnock's going to play no matter what. I think he's too valuable. He has a nose for the football. And for a lot of those out there, Bobo saying you should have kept Talanoa Hufanga, which I get it. We all love the Tongan Tiger. He was awesome for a short period of time, got hurt and wasn't great last couple of seasons. I think Pinnock is a cheaper version, not having a higher ceiling or similar ceiling, but I think when it comes to getting takeaways and creating havoc, Pinnock, I think, should be kind of included in that category with Hufanga.
And he's also healthy, well, at least for now.
Right now, yeah.
Because I mean, the whole thing with Talanoa Hufanga is just he was always hurt
and couldn't cover,
and he couldn't cover. Yeah. And last year when he was in the defense, he was like these guys are missing a lot of tackles. Like that was his biggest bugaboos too.
It's uncontrolled chaos and racking up injuries. It's going to cost you. It wasn't as fast, wasn't as quick, wasn't as agile, couldn't tackle as well. Wasn't great. Like Hufanga needed to go. And I think we all saw that was on the wall. Where I think Pinnock comes in, fresh legs, 27, 28 years old, and had a pretty good season last year for the Giants, albeit on a really bad defense. He's going to play. And I think so far he's earned through 3 days, if that matters at all, an opportunity to play throughout the entirety of preseason and start for this team with Mustafa being on the shelf.
I noticed, and I want to keep it on defense. I noticed on social media, it was like people were bringing out the fact that just Bosa being so appreciative of having Robert Saleh back, having his presence back in the room, which to me wasn't really a shot at our former defensive coordinator, but it kind of was. Like he just has a presence and people gravitate and listen, and it's Salah, man. And so like for someone like Bosa to be happy, and I think that goes for the rest of the defense, for the players that are still here, which are many. How do you feel just having Salah back in the building? How much more confidence? I know it gives me a lot more confidence. Last year it was bad. It's just different. It was like you said it. It was the same group of young players with, the same defensive coordinators last year. You would have a lot more fear.
Yeah, it feels really good to have Robert Saleh back in that room. I've seen and been in press conferences with DeMeco Ryans. I've been in there with Steve Wilkes. I've been in there with Nick Sorensen. And while DeMeco is head and shoulders above those guys, Saleh just commands a room. Steve Wilkes did too, but it was kind of an old professor style way, kind of an older guy. You just say, wow, you have years under your belt, and I respect that. Whereas, Saleh, it's probably because he was already here for a couple of years. He was part of the ascension during the Shanahan regime. But funny enough, this is the second consecutive offseason or training camp sessions where Nick Bosa has kind of taken shots at the previous defensive coordinator. When they went from Steve Wilkes, which he had kind of taken shots at during the year at times and post Super Bowl, especially. He talked about when they brought in Nick Sorensen and kind of going back to a wide nine, pin your ears back style of defense. He talked about, I can't wait to just get out there and do my thing and pin my ears back, unlike last season. Whereas now it's like, I can't wait to pin my ears back and go after the quarterback, but also have someone that actually knows what the hell they're doing, because
can make
I'm
in-game
one
adjustments.
guy and I got 10 other guys that aren't doing their job at times. So I think it just raises the confidence level in that room. I think Nick is one of the few players that were drafted and still remain under Saleh on the defense. It's Fred, and I think Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, I think are the only two. Could be wrong there. So I really do. It just, there's so much confidence in Robert, even if he's back for just 1 year.
I think
I just
Demo
know
was
that
drafted.
I think Demo was 2020 sounds right. Maybe I'm wrong there. Same year as Ambry Thomas, same year as Colton McKivitz, I think.
Because that means Saleh was here in 2020, correct? Or he was already gone?
He was here in 2020. Maybe it was 2021. I think Lenore highlight. No, because 2021 was Lance, Banks, Ambry Thomas, Danny Gray, or TDP. No, Trey Sermon. Okay, yes.
One of the worst drafts 2021.
Terrible, a terrible draft. Sorry, I don't want to give us Vietnam flashbacks, but
Dude, you were saying all those players, and I'm like, now the team. The team.
Lenore is one of the few, the proud, the remaining of that terrible draft. But going back to Saleh, Austin, he's back. If he gives you and I confidence, imagine how much confidence he gives the boys in that room now with Nick and Fred.
Keep it on defense. The talk of Mykel Williams so far in camp has been somewhat positive. I have the clip. I want to play it real quick from Trent Williams talking about him real quickly, and then we can talk about it for a little bit. There's a lot of defensive talk on this particular of the topics that I have. Everything's mostly defense. So let's go here. Whoop.
Generally don't see guys that size on the edge. So, I mean, it sucks having a, base block guys with arms, as long as your legs. But, I mean, I think he has a chance to be a really good player in this NFL. I think he has a chance to be dominant. He has the best coach in the league pushing him. Get to learn from some of the best guys to learn from, obviously Nick. So I'm happy to see how he turned out. I think he got all the tools to be all pro. And obviously going against Nick, I think we feed off each other so much, and he makes me better. I like to feel like I make him better. He keeps me engaged. He keeps me, working on myself. Because nobody likes to get embarrassed. He's one of them players that, not in a mean way, but yeah, he would embarrass me if I let him, and that's just him making me better. So it's always good going against Nick, one of my better friends on the team, but, obviously one of the best players in the league, and being able to size yourself up against him, especially me going into 16 and, not knowing where that cliff is. When I get to go off against Nick, it kind of gives me a good measuring stick.
Does Mykel?
That's pretty interesting at the end. He says that cliff, like where he is in his career, going up against Nick kind of helps him with that. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, he was talking about Mykel. I know one of the comparisons a lot of people are saying is DeForest Buckner body size. They said Buckner was a little more thick, but that's interesting because Buckner could play. I mean, Buckner was, or no, I'm thinking of Armstead on the outside, but like Armstead was, and also a larger guy too, and they mixed him up with going inside and outside. So Mykel Williams is going to be, from what they say, he was like he's really raw. So it's going to be interesting to see what they can mold into him, even this year with Saleh being back.
Yeah, I will say this, and I've talked about it a couple times on my show already, but you can't put my own my own message on the screen. Anyways, that guy's really right, and that guy was me. But anyways, Mykel, for watching his tape when he was coming into the draft and all that stuff, like he looks more agile than he did at Georgia. He had an ankle injury last year, got hurt. He looks quicker, more agile than he did in college. I would not go as far as to say he's the next Aldon Smith. He's not. Aldon was just 19 years old, pure pass rusher, go get the quarterback, and had a phenomenal guy opening up lanes for him with Justin Smith and Isaac Sopuaga on the interior. He didn't have that he has Nick, but he ain't got anybody else. Hopefully him and Alfred Collins and Wes can grow into being somewhat close to that group, but that's a really hard ask for young players. That said, I also am very hesitant to yes, everything Trent's saying is awesome to hear. Yes, everything Trent's saying is wow, that's praise and it deserves to be talked about. But also Trent, which in his own right, Drake Jackson was injured a lot and his body type wasn't, it just wasn't a great mix for the wide 9 system. Trent also said that Drake Jackson could be an all-pro.
Yeah, so, there's a lot of comparisons though. Drake Jackson was a pretty big guy himself coming off the edge.
Yeah, and I think, Mykel doesn't possess that kind of bend, but he's so damn strong. He was bodying up Colton McKivitz today from what I just granted, Mykel and Colton really isn't a great matchup for Colton because Mykel was all strength and Colton doesn't have a great anchor. But me and you talked about plenty of times, Mykel being young, Trent being the old veteran guy, iron sharpens iron, rookie in the vet, all that stuff. It's so important to Mykel's growth that Trent's there in the room with Nick. And I don't want to get overhyped on Mykel because there is a lot of room for failure, but having Saleh in the room with Nick and Trent, that's a really big deal for a young player.
Yeah. I would feel less confident if it was, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just, no one's going to grow under that type of defensive coaching. It was just awful. Renardo Green, hamstring injury.
Yeah. Big
time. He was having a good camp, good day. A lot of people said he had 3 PBIs. PBAs, pass breakup, PBUs. And then he went down with a hamstring injury. And, now they're using Trey Brown and Upton Stout being the rookie fifth rounder? 4th rounder?
3rd rounder.
Third? Oh, he was a 3rd rounder. Okay. Thoughts on that real quick?
I don't know how concerning it is without knowing the severity of it. It didn't seem like it was that bad. He played the majority of practice, got hurt. Funny enough, got hurt on probably his best play of the day, breaking up a pass from Jauan Jennings on a deep
always
ball.
Seems like that on these defensive injuries.
But went down, kind of called for a trainer over. They tried to work on it, so it wasn't like they weren't trying to get him back out there. I just think they said, hey, you have tomorrow off, call it a day. Don't worry about it. Get back out here on Sunday. Now we'll see what happens on Sunday if he's out there. But I know that many people out there, including myself, see Pearsall hamstring, Cowling hamstring, Green hamstring. That may be a concern.
Jefferson has a hamstring right now in Vikings camp.
Exactly. So I don't know if that's a hydration problem, a stretching problem, whatever it is. You never want to see guys go down, but it didn't seem like it was too serious. That said, it was really good to see Trey Brown play inside and outside today. Upton Stout playing nickel. You had Lenore out there too, but also, I don't know if this matters to people out there, but they're also giving Dallas Flowers a free agent signing some first team reps today too. So they're mixing and matching guys. You could find, my mind triggered and said, why wasn't Darrell Luter Jr. getting those reps? And Dallas Flowers was. So you could be in a place where Luter gets cut and Flowers takes his job. It's early.
Man, Darrell Luter has just had the worst luck. Or he's just really not that good.
Injury. Terrible.
Yeah. Keep it on defense still. Can we put to bed the Christian Wilkins talk here? Well, I know a lot of people and Niner fans on social media, hooting and hollering about how the Niners should go make a move for Christian Wilkins, not knowing the injury situation. And the situation isn't far. It's far from done with the Raiders. I don't know. They said the league doesn't even have the league office, like the players
the
union.
NFLPA doesn't have a president, I think, or leader of the union right now.
Yeah,
stepped down.
Yeah, so there could be some time before we get to figure out this monetary situation with the Raiders. Like, from what the Raiders, at least they're making it seem, is like they still want him. They want him to get another surgery, and he doesn't want another surgery. if you're a Niners fan and you have that kind of question with the kind of money that we would have to at least throw at him just to get him interested, not worth it. But like we said off stream, what if the Chiefs go make a move for him and maybe they're more informed than we are, or maybe the Eagles or someone else the Rams go make a move for him. So like there's that too. So it's
there's that fine line of just accumulate all the talent that you can and worry about money later. I think that's pretty valid. But the Niners seemingly decided to go against the grain and go against that kind of sentiment this offseason, cutting Floyd and cutting Malik Collins and all that stuff. But a lot of it to me is dependent on one, of course, the health of Christian Wilkins. Is he healthy? What's up with the foot? Like, what is exactly going on with him?
Yeah.
Because if he's healthy, it does certainly open the door to have a more serious discussion about that. Now, if the Raiders are just kind of, I don't know, being the Raiders, I guess, and it's not handling things correctly. Like, again, I don't know exactly where his medicals are.
As much as we hate Pete Carroll for the years on the Seahawks, he's not a stupid coach. Like, when it comes to player personnel. So, like, if Pete Carroll's saying you got to go,
there's a problem. Yeah.
And I think that there might be a serious issue. JD made a good point. He has to pass the physical, like, before anything.
Right. Right. So again, I don't know where that stands. I don't know. Like, we have no idea what exactly is going on. I also think this was in some way a little bit strategic by the Raiders to cut him when the NFLPA doesn't have a union leader, to kind of like, one, let things linger somewhat, but also two, like, capitalize on there being disarray atop the NFLPA. Now that can resolve itself tomorrow for all I know, and that doesn't matter anymore. But I would also be interested to see, let's say Wilkins is healthy. Let's say he wins this, I don't know what they're calling it, but wins this thing against the Raiders and gets to keep his money. Does that make him more inclined to take a cheaper contract with his next team and play for 1 year, then reestablish himself and then go get a big contract again? Or is he like, no, I want to get paid again big time now? So a lot goes into it. A lot can make you be scared and say, no, don't do this. But also there are some factors that may make myself or you or somebody else, and even San Francisco, say it might be worth taking a risk on Christian Wilkins if he's healthy and doesn't want that big contract.
Yeah, if he's healthy, you do what John always says, do your due diligence. There's going to be a team out there if he's healthy that's going to freaking blow their freaking, wad all over the guy and like go sign him for a bunch of money. And it's just going to be like, what are you doing? You got to be, I think the Niners, if they do make an offer, it's going to be team friendly. It's not going to, they're not breaking. They're like a 1 year, I don't know, 15 million, not even, maybe 1 year, 12 million might be the highest they go.
Well, let me ask you this. And it's not a 1-for-1, so forgive me, but would you rather sign Jauan Jennings and give him more guaranteed money this year?
Hell yeah.
Or bring in Christian Wilkins and let Jauan be a free agent and see what happens for 1 year?
No, I would take Jauan in a heartbeat. Jauan is a known commodity. Wilkins isn't. We don't know. He might really need surgery. He could sign with the whatever team he signs with, play one game, and be like, "Yeah, I'm going to have surgery, and I'm going to get paid too, and I'm going to get my money from the other team previous." These players aren't dumb.
Yeah.
If I was a player, I would probably sign with a team, take the $12 million, play a couple games, call it a year. If I was that kind of human being, then trust me, that's my biggest fear. Is like we're all like, "Oh yeah, ooh ah, whatever," and then he. You know what? Maybe I'm hurt. It's like,
I will say, though, if you have Nick Bosa, Mykel Williams, Bryce Huff, Alfred Collins, CJ West, Sam McQuan, Yetur Gross-Matos, and a healthy Christian Wilkins,
yes,
that defense goes from like
Wilkins
to like, oh my God.
Wilkins is starting.
Yeah.
He's a starting defensive tackle. So he would be in there.
Him next to Alfred Collins.
Him and Alfred, that's ridiculous. And then you have Bosa, and then you have the rookie. Yeah, all of a sudden, see, that's what and where would you play him? Would you play him next to Mykel? Because it'll give Mykel a situation where he would go on to go, he'd have a lot of one-on-ones with hopefully some undersized tackles.
See, but I'm kind of also under the impression that,
They're going to play him
again,
inside.
it's so early on into training camp, and we haven't even seen Mykel put pads on or play in the preseason, so it could mean nothing. Mykel's been splitting reps with Sam Ekwonu. So Sam Ekwonu could start the year, and they just mix Mykel in heavily throughout the games and whatnot.
Bryce Huff is not even getting starting reps right now.
No, he's
which
not.
is interesting, but he
I'm
is
not
a
shocked
specialty
by
player.
it, but still.
Yeah. Let's see here. What we got left here?
Jake Moody.
Yeah, let's talk Jake Moody. Man, I don't know about you, man, but
they all stink.
Wow, they both suck. He went 3 for 4, missed from 50. Greg Joseph 2 for 4.
Yeah.
Missed from 40. And I'm just gonna play these. I'm not doing them the normal way where we play it from Twitter, so it's gonna come up in front of our faces. But I don't know about you guys. When I listen to Jake Moody speak, I get zero confidence. I'm gonna play what he said, and then I'm gonna play what Brent Boyer said, and then we can talk.
I'm sure things will come up.
Where is he?
Dude, Jake Moody got jacked.
Confidence level, Jake, after last season, once the season ended, and where is it now?
Yeah, last season was tough. I wouldn't really say there was, like thoughts about like confidence or anything like that. It was just more so learning experiences and just kind of moving on to the now, not harping on what had happened, but just kind of focusing on the present, talking with people about mindsets to kind of move forward and having that kind of process over outcome mindset, and that's kind of helped me just focus on the task at hand, which is at the moment that I'm on the field, it's just focus on the kick, don't worry about the results or anything that might follow.
And then we'll play Brent.
In the case of Moody, do you go back and watch what he did last season to just get acquainted, see what he did, how he can improve, or did you just start from zero?
I've watched thousands of reps. I mean, you have to, right, to try to see how you can help him and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what he did in the past for me. When I come here, I want to see what he's done from here on. And you try to give everybody a clean slate when you get here. And I tried to do that, and so did Colt and Ronnie and stuff. So we tried to do that.
Mental makeup. I mean, he was a highly drafted player, 99th, third round. Had a rough year. What kind of emotions or mental makeup did you see from him?
I seen a guy that lost his confidence a little bit, but I also seen a guy that was injured half the year. He's a super talented kid, and I think that he's just got to get his stinger back, so to speak. And Greg is putting all the pressure on him that he can, and like I said, that's going to heat up. That battle is going to be fun to watch. As we get into the preseason games, that's for sure.
Is he putting pressure on him? Is he? I don't know about that. So you got one guy saying that his confidence was lost in the coach. And then you have Mopey Moody, who has me zero aura.
He's not supposed to. He's a kicker. If your kicker has aura, there's something else going on behind the scenes I don't want to know about. Man.
How do you feel about it? Because I don't have any confidence. I like Boyer. I like Boyer's kind of tough guy mentality.
Yeah.
I definitely enjoy his energy. I think he's going to get up in people's asses this year.
Love when Boyer gets in people's asses, dude.
Yeah, all about the ass getting. But when it comes to Moody, is just, I don't know, man. Like that. You hear me just like groan when I listen to him talk. It's just like, man, this is a kid would get his books dumped in school every single day. If he went to school where
you are above bullying, Aaron. Yeah. Don't bully people. It's not 1995 anymore.
No, sometimes you got to bring bullying back, like I've said. No, I'm just kidding.
Jake is so kind, so nice, so soft-spoken. Like, even hearing Jake when I was, when I've been there, in next to him, and he's such a tiny, frail dude that, you can tell that Jake is so good intentioned and kind at heart. At least that's like what he kind of brings off. He's the boy next door. He's the Elijah Wood kind of guy of the Niners, where you're like, oh, he's such a.
Oh, it's Frodo.
Right. Right. Like, man, like I don't know, like Jake is such a welcoming person, but I also think that like doesn't matter. If you can't play
No,
well, you're not going to
it's
be
not
around and
football. I don't
everything.
care.
And they cut Tabor Pepper, they brought in John Weeks, they brought in Greg Joseph, they cut the punter, and they brought in Thomas Morris. Like they said, everybody but Moody can get out. Cut George Odom, go to the defense, and so I think Jake is taking things in stride. I also believe Jake does have the talent to be a good player. I really do think that. I just don't know if he has the mental makeup to survive some struggles. And yes, Jake and Greg can go back and forth. And Jake was 3 for 4 today. Greg was 2 for 4 today. They were both perfect 2 days ago. So, what is it worth? I also don't really care about kicker training camp stats because Jake's always been good in training camp and then really bad during actual games. So, but I do think that a lot of what Brant said is right. Yes, Jake did get hurt. Yes, clearly Jake was not confident when he came back.
No.
Like how does that not affect you? You go talk to starting pitchers, baseball, hitters, you talk to the greatest ones. They know you're going to fail. Do you have the mental makeup to survive? It's a big thing that has cost this team. You go to one Super Bowl and you lose. The next season's terrible. You go to again, you lose again. Like after a while, things wear on you as an NFL player. And for Jake, who's young and has really never been good, and unfortunately for him and not his own fault, has a lot of pressure to succeed being a 3rd round kicker.
And that you got to put a lot of that blame on the organization.
Right. And you're hoping
that Brant, this guy in the 3rd round. So that's egg in your face.
And you're hoping that Brant being a hard ass can kind of pull the tough guy out of him. It reminds me of Justin Long from Dodgeball, right? Where Rip Torn is just yelling at him. You got to get angry. You got to get mean. It's like, come on, like, let's get some energy here. Like, let's go crazy. You have the guy where his wife is kind of cucking him with his kids and he's yelling at him stuff like, you're like, no, come on, Goggles, go on the street, yell at somebody, get angry. I want Jake to like have that with Brant Boyer and just like let it out because Jake, you can tell it is so, he's so calm and meek. He needs his Rip Torn, hopefully, or his Patches O'Houlihan. Hopefully that is Brant Boyer to him.
Yeah, he needs some. There's an Italian term that my mom uses about getting some people are slow movers. I forget what it's called, but in Italian they talk about like lighting a fire under someone's butt. I forget that my mom's from Sicily, so yeah, like my dad when he was young, he was like a slow big guy, but like slow to move, slow to get going. And in Italian, my nana will always make comments about lighting a fire under his ass. He needs that fire under his ass, or literally someone needs
to say Brant is bringing to the room. So that's
he definitely gives off. Yeah, he definitely gives off like an angry high school basketball coach vibe. Like when I hear him talking, which is cool.
Brant has like 4 nicotine patches like under his shirt, just like hard nosed, just like he's ripping cigs and a patch. He's just one of those guys.
It reminds me of that Dennis Leary thing. If he had a hole in his neck, he'd be smoking from the hole too. Like you know what I mean?
He's older than old school, man. He's just one of those guys.
Oh my God. And then the last thing we could talk about real quick at the end of August on the 28th. They're going to reveal a new color scheme
jersey. Yeah.
Huh?
Rivalry week jersey.
And they don't use it till week 18, which is kind of dumb.
Yeah.
What is so important about a jersey that you might have backups wearing if you've clinched a playoff spot? Ooh.
Could you imagine week 18 against the Seahawks? It's Mac Jones running out there.
Oh my God.
Like, damn it.
Do you have any idea what color it can be? Some people are saying gold.
I think it's black with gold and red trim. I'm not like, I think it'll be somewhat of a variation on the old black jerseys they used to have with more gold involved in it to kind of bring out the red and oversaturate it. But
I hope so.
I was hoping for some red, but I'm not going to be too mad about the black as long as it is breathable. 1, 2, does incorporate some gold because I didn't love the black and just red jerseys they used to have. I thought it was very basic and simple, but that was a decade ago now.
See, I want them to change their helmets too when they do it.
They are going to. They are. I think if I'm correct, their helmet logo will be the saloon font written out in Niners.
Hmm. That'll be
I don't
fun.
love that, but
yeah. Well, we went about an hour, man. We pretty much covered everything. Anything going on in your head? 'Cause you pretty much stream every day. Are they off tomorrow or Sunday?
they're off tomorrow. They're back on Sunday morning, and then pads on Monday.
Monday. Yeah, things are going to change, people.
Yeah.
Things are going to change. I think we're going to get a real idea about all these people that look really good in t-shirts and shorts. It's going to change in pads.
I don't know if too much will change, but at least for myself, you get a better assessment of offensive line play, defensive line play, and especially
guys can thump up now. They can,
right.
Or as they say, thud up.
And then you also get a better assessment of defensive backs, how physical they can be. Like Renardo Green usually benefits off of
Yep.
Some physicality where he may not play, but then you have players like Isaiah Neyor, who is 6'4", 220 pounds, like he has a lot of injury history. Is he just a burner? Is he a big guy? Like then you have Jauan, who really thrives with physicality. So you'll see, like Calachipto was saying, the Neyor hive will silence and won't be as big anymore. I also think you'll see more hives emerge, if you will. I think we'll get a better understanding of Alfred Collins and CJ West and Mykel Williams. I also think the linebacker position won't really be much different with pads on, but I do think you'll get a better, I can't wait to see Upton Stout in pads. Smaller guy, nickelback. How feisty can he be when he can actually touch somebody and get some hands on receivers?
Real quick, I forgot to note to mention this. D Winters. There is a clip that I didn't upload it, but there's a clip of him talking about, he was talking about Dre Greenlaw and his influence. What's your overall take? You think D Winters wins the starting job over Nick Martin? I haven't heard anything about Nick Martin from anybody.
That's because you don't read my Substack, Aaron. No, I'm kidding. I think Nicholas Martin forced a fumble yesterday, but the play was blown dead, and they weren't really sure if it counted or not on UDFA Corey Kiner. But other than that, it's been more of a D Winters show. He looks tremendous. Again, when pads come on, we shall see. They also have been working Nick with the second team to get him more reps at the weak side linebacker spot, while D Winters played weak side linebacker.
So he would be starter and base at weak side, right?
Nick Martin or D Winters.
So if they go three in base, they go three linebackers.
Yeah,
correct?
they've had Luke Gifford playing alongside Fred and D Winters to
Luke Gifford.
Yes,
that's a name I don't know.
Free agent signing from Tennessee. More of a special teamer, but he is starting with the team right now. I'm not sure if that changes once everything transpires, but yeah.
Got a lot of time till now in the beginning of the season.
It'll go quick though.
Amar Singh says, I'm mainly worried about the DTs in the secondary and two glaring weaknesses. Yeah, you never know. It could end up being two glaring strengths depending on if Regardno Green isn't as hurt and Upton shows something. And if, Mustafa can come back whenever he wants because of Pinnock playing well, then all of a sudden positions of weakness could, become a position, or at least one can become a position of strength.
I'm also not too down on the secondary. You have Lenore, who you love. You love Renardo Green, physical guy, go against the bigger defensive or the bigger receivers. Trey Brown has been a pleasant surprise so far. And again, Upton Stout being a nickel back, you just don't really know what he'll be once pads come on.
Why does Trey Brown remind me of Terrell Brown when we had him? I don't know.
Terrell Brown was a dog, man. Texas Longhorn, hook him, baby. He was so good in the Harbaugh era. But I think the Niners have 4 pretty good cornerbacks that are going to play for them this year. We'll see with Dallas Flowers and whatnot and Cyra Neal and those guys, what does the depth look like? But I also think if you walked into the season and let's say no one's hurt, it was Mustafa and Jair Brown or Jason Pinnock. Let's say it's Pinnock for this, example. Then Lenore, Green, and Brown or Stout. That's not a bad secondary at all. So I think it's somewhat underrated. I think to Amar Singh's other weakness being defensive tackle. Defensive tackle is one unproven, but literally has no depth. That's the big issue, right?
Yeah.
You have high promising players, Collins and West and those guys, but you don't love Jordan Elliott. You don't love Kalia Davis. You don't love really anybody else in that room, not your outside of your draft picks this year. So depth, and if those young guys don't play well, you are in a world of hurt at defensive tackle.
That's why I think if something with Wilkins, if it comes out that he can play and would be willing to take a 1 year, a one-off, I would definitely sign him at a defensive tackle, because then all of a sudden that changes everything. But that's like
Exactly.
whatever, neither here or there. But
You never know.
everybody, thank you for coming through and supporting both of us, 49ers First Takes and Sterling Bennett at 49ers Access. It was good. We touched on a lot of stuff. No Niners. I mean, I'm sure there'll be Niners coverage tomorrow from somebody, but Niners are off. Come back Sunday and pads on Monday, and then things will really get going. Hopefully everybody can stay healthy. That's the biggest thing for me. Health is wealth. But
Exactly. Health is wealth.
take care, everybody. We will see you on the other side, and go Niners. Peace.